Escaping Denver, Batch 4, The Lost Noah Tapes. Batch 4 of the messages are done, and while I've already started on Batch 5, I am nowhere near ready to release anything. Namely because I don't have all the answers I'm looking for yet. Hoping for. There's something I'm missing, and while I'm struggling to find a word for it, it feels like I'm the only one who doesn't get an inside joke. Not the isolated feeling or the feeling of shame, but the feeling that there is information out there that other people know and I can't seem to access. Answers to these big questions. Every message I get from Noah or Sarah opens this world up a little bit more, proving how vast and expansive our world really is while somehow simultaneously making it feel small and claustrophobic. I know what you're thinking, and no, that's not Malenki. I've left him behind and you'll hear all about it next batch. But for now, I am a man on a mission. I finally know where I'm going instead of running blind. I had some time on my hands while on the move, so I decided to touch base with some of my fellow internet sleuths and friends of the show, and to my surprise, they had digitized 2 more episodes of Noah's internet radio show from the early 2000s, The Ark. Now, these were just sent to me, and I didn't necessarily choose which episodes were digitized, so I had to circle back after the fact and kind of build context to the show. This first episode is about lights in the sky in the southern United States, and while the obvious connection should be aliens, for me, it's mistrust. It's not the events themselves, but how the government handles them. You begin to question if it's the actual government or the collective or remnants of the fear beings. All we know is that we're being lied to. So, here it is. A blast from the past. Noah in another episode of The Ark.
We are back for another episode. Once again, sorry everyone who keeps asking, but I still cannot tell you my name. But you know me. I'm the guy trying to solve the world's greatest unsolved mysteries. The guy who isn't afraid to dive headfirst into the weird and unusual, where myth meets lore meets conspiracies. Welcome to my show, The Ark. This is your one-stop shop internet radio show covering all things conspiracy and mystery and out of this world. This one's so fresh it's still warm. We're talking about 1997's Phoenix Lights. The Phoenix Lights, or Lights over Phoenix, was a widely reported incident of unidentified lights over the skies of Phoenix, Arizona on March 13th, 1997. Given the amount of witnesses, author Robert Schaefer described it as perhaps the most widely witnessed UFO event in history. Was it alien aircraft? Unknown military technology? Weather balloons? An optical illusion? Or just mass hysteria? Let's dive into the theories. First, we should mention that mysterious accounts of lights in the sky had been reported months before March 1997 in Phoenix, including by Dr. Lynn Kitai, a witness to the lights and author of Phoenix Lights, A Skeptic's Discovery That We Are Not Alone. Not only that, but the lights were seen all over Arizona and parts of Nevada, so it wasn't entirely about Phoenix, albeit that's where most of the reports came from. So what are we thinking? Kind of hard to call this a one-off when there are eyewitness accounts in multiple locations over multiple dates. These events all connected? Could the visits prior to March 13th have been some scouting missions of some kind? For me, they're absolutely connected, but I wouldn't dare to hazard a guess as to their intent. Friends stop for a while when they've made a long trek to you, and the fact that these lights just passed us by is unnerving. Unsettling even. On the evening of March 13th, lights were actually first reported at 7:55 Mountain Time in Henderson, Nevada, nearly 300 miles away. Could this have been their first stop? Why Nevada? Why Henderson for that matter? The lights were also reported after Phoenix being spotted in Mexico. So, were those different lights, or are we talking about an incredibly fast aircraft moving south in a hurry? Also, I looked into Henderson to see if anything there would have been worth the trip across the galaxy and was surprised to find that maybe there was. Sure, Henderson produced about a quarter of the magnesium the military used in World War II, that doesn't feel special enough 50 years later. What does feel special is that Pepcon, a chemical factory, operated out of Henderson, and they happened to be one of the few facilities nationwide that was producing a key ingredient in rocket fuel. Throw a dart at the US and you won't hit a city with as relevant a factory. This was intentional. Could they have been stopping to fuel up? Well, no. Factory burnt down in '88. Pretty tragic, actually. But maybe the relevant ingredients are still there, buried somewhere. Zipping along at 8:15 p.m., a police officer in Paulden, Arizona reports seeing reddish-orange lights disappearing over the southern horizon. Shortly after that, lights are seen over Prescott Valley, Arizona. This thing, whatever it is moving fast. But then, it was reported that the object, which initially seemed to be 5 separate lights before it was said to be an upside-down V with 5 lights on it, was moving so slowly and silently it appeared to hover. It headed in the direction of the mountains and towards Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. Does slowing down mean they reached their destination? Like when you slow down in your car so you can read the house numbers, were they looking for something? And before we dismiss the eyewitness accounts as just yahoos in the desert seeing things, they were also witnessed by someone we all know. Actor Kurt Russell, star of movies like Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from LA, and The Thing, and who happens to be an amateur pilot, actually reported the lights to air traffic control. Okay, so then, between 8:30 and 8:45, north of Phoenix in Glendale, more people reported seeing the object before finally, at 10 p.m., a huge number of people in Phoenix, including many with cameras out, recording video and photo, witnessed the famous Phoenix lights. It covered an incredible distance between 7:55 and 8:45. But what did it do for the 75 minutes until they were spotted again at 10? Strangely, the event didn't reach a national audience for months until USA Today published a front-page story with the headline, "Skies, Phone Lines Light Up Arizona," on June 18th, 1997. And while it sparked attention, it was also quickly buried and dismissed for a number of more rational explanations. So what was it? Can we say for sure it was alien or extraterrestrial? No. It sure was strange.
I'm sorry I have to pop in before Noah dives into the explanations. I'd ask that you take a moment and just think to yourselves about what the lights could be. Remember, it covered a great distance, was seen hovering and searching, and then zipped off again. And by now your brain might have already filled in the blanks about what kind of vehicle that was, but then I remind you that it was silent and almost without form. Just 5 bright lights moving in unison. And now this is when we struggle. Which is good. The unknown shouldn't be easy to digest. It's different, and we have to fight our base instinct to treat it with fear. You see, a scared person will hold on to the safer and more palatable answer, but if we can trade fear with curiosity, we eliminate their ability to pull the wool over our eyes. Whether they're the government or a secret nefarious cabal or aliens, they won't be able to exploit that fear.
So let's get the least fun explanation out of the way first. It was just planes. Another quote from Schaefer as he claims the Phoenix lights consists of 2 unrelated incidents, although both were the result of activities of the same organization. Operation Snowbird, a pilot training program operated in the winter by the Air National Guard out of Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, Arizona. They claim it was caused by 5 A-10 jets, which seems fishy to me. All of these people watching, and not one of them realized it was just planes? Yeah, I don't know about that. What about the low flying without sound? What about the hovering? This feels so standard government cover-up that it's almost boring. Next. Another explanation that it was just a bunch of flares being dropped. Again, doesn't make sense to me. Some of the footage shows the lights hovering. Some show the lights moving across the sky. A dropped object doesn't control its descent. These are qualities of a maneuver which implies either sentient or automated intelligence. Also, what flare lasts 2 hours while traveling 300 miles across the night sky? It's irrational and the explanation of someone afraid of the alternative. Arizona Governor Fife Symington III, is that his real name? That is insane. held a press conference where he mocked the event and brought out someone dressed in an alien costume. Pageantry to humiliate those of us open to the possibility of extraterrestrial life. What's worse, years later, the governor actually admitted that he had experienced a close encounter himself, but didn't want to panic anyone, so he never spoke of it publicly. With that context, it's easy to see how the joke press conference was used to mask his fear for something that was very, very real to him. I think it's in our human instinct to search for an answer that doesn't make us feel less than or small. And digesting that there are bigger kids on the playground that can come and go from our planet at will, it's much more difficult. Fear makes us do all sorts of out-of-character things, even ignoring the truth. So what do you think? Alien encounter? Just a military exercise? What were the Phoenix Lights? Let me know. But before I go, I should give a little more context about lights in the night sky. If the Phoenix Lights were truly a one-off, I could completely understand explaining it away as dropped flares or jets on night maneuvers, but it isn't. It's not even one of a handful. It's one of literally hundreds of encounters with lights in the sky. There are very few states without their own sightings, and northern Canada is basically a night bright if only half the reports are true. These aren't isolated incidents. They're not limited to North America. The world is seeing these lights, these visitors, and the time is coming when enough of us are asking the same question, we might actually get an answer. Thanks for joining me again this week on The Ark. As always, keep both your mind and eyes open. Good night.
Following Noah's advice, I started looking into these lights in the sky a little further than I have in the past. Sure, avid listeners will remember my interviews with journalist Daniel Otis and ufologist Chris Bertowski, where we of course talk about UFOs. But back then, aliens felt like a far-off problem, and to be honest, I'm not sure I digested their words properly. Aliens and government mistrust feel like the root of this story somehow, and I think it's important we continue to ask questions. Take these drones in the skies of New Jersey. Dozens of witnesses, and what answers do we get from the government? Well, some are drones and some are manned vehicles being confused for drones, but don't worry about it, we don't believe they pose a threat. They might as well have said, none of your damn business. So me? Yeah, I'm gonna keep asking questions, and I hope you do too.